Hey guys, Rick here from Stony Acres Gardening. Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about growing microgreens, and in particular we're going to talk about growing radish microgreens, one of our favorite microgreens to grow. They're very easy, super tasty, nice long extended harvest from them. We love radish microgreens, and so we're going to teach you how to do that today. This video is sponsored by True Leaf Market. And I love them for sponsoring our video today. They are the place to go, guys, if you want microgreens. Whether you are a hobby grower like myself and just growing for your family, or if you are growing for restaurants or farmers markets, commercially, whatever it is that you're doing, True Leaf Market is the place to go. 300 plus varieties of microgreen seeds, all the kits, all the supplies you need. They're awesome, okay? So thank you again to them for sponsoring today's video. All right. Like I said, we love radish microgreens. And when I called True Leaf to see if they wanted to sponsor this video, they're like, sure, what varieties do you want me to send? And I'm like, well, send me your favorites. And so they sent me 3 different packages of microgreens, radish microgreen seeds. The first one happens to be our favorite. So this is the one that we have grown a lot over the years, and it's called Rambo Purple. Then they sent me one called Triton Purple, which I haven't tried before, and another called China Rose, which I also haven't tried before. So I thought they sent me 3 packages of seeds. Why don't we do a taste test? So is what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to plant a 10 by 10 tray of each of these. We'll grow them up. It'll be about 10 to 12 days before they're ready. And then we'll do a taste test and see which of these 3 varieties we like, okay? All right, so let's go through the process, and let me kind of give you a start out here, what we're going to do. It's actually a 4-part process. So we have the planting stage, and then we have the what we call the germination or the blackout stage. Then we have the growth stage, and then of course the harvesting stage. And so we're going to go through, show you all of those. I don't think I'm going to like pop in and do an everyday video for you, like progress. We'll jump in every couple of days so that you can see how things are progressing. But I think that should be enough. And we should have these radishes are usually done in about 10 to 12 days. And then we'll harvest and see what we think about the taste of each one of these, okay? All right, so the first thing that we need when we are ready to do our microgreens is we need soil. And most people use, if you're going to use a soil, you use cocoa coir. So I've got a brick of cocoa coir here. This is actually the minute soil that you can get from True Leaf Market. It comes in a bunch of different sizes. I like this brick, but they have a really big one that's like 10 cubic feet of finished product that I like as well. But these end up giving us about 1.5 gallons, which is going to be more than enough. I'll be able to do a ton of batches out of this. And basically is what we do is we're just going to put this guy in. It's all ready to go. There's nothing, no other treatment or anything we need to do to this before we use them for microgreens. All we've got to do is rehydrate it. So we've got it here in this tray, and to this brick, we're just going to add 10 cups of water. So I've already pre-measured out 10 cups of water. We're just going to pour this right on top, and this will rehydrate this soil, and then we're ready to go. So this process takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You can see it's already starting to grow. It's kind of a childish thing of me, but I love this. It reminds me of the little, you remember the little dinosaur capsules you put in the water? So anyways, we'll let this soak up this water. It takes about 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and get it into the trays. This took us about 10 minutes. You can see it kind of all just broke up, and I did take a minute to kind of go through. I ended up having to add a couple more cups of water to get it to hydrate completely. But you can see that one little block gave us all of that. This is actually going to be enough. I've never really measured it, but this will be enough to do probably a dozen or so batches. Maybe not quite that many, maybe 10, but a good bunch of soil. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put this over here so that you guys can see through this camera. Now we just need to put some soil in our trays. By the way, let's talk about these trays. So these are the 10 by 10 Bootstrap Farmer trays. This is a 10 by 20. You'll notice these guys have, if we look here, these have the slots in them. So we plant in these, and then this is our bottom tray so that we can bottom water. So these are from Bootstrap Farmer. You can actually buy these from True Leaf Market. So I'll leave a link down below for those. But this is a great, When I first started out with microgreens, I used just kind of the seedling trays, the bigger, thicker, but also not as good of material trays. And since I've switched over to these, it's been about 4 years ago that I got these. I just love them. They're so much easier to use because they're made for microgreens. So these are microgreen trays, and everything just works so much better in these. So I love them. Again, Bootstrap Farmer, and they are available at True Leaf Market. So I'm just going to put about a handful, double handful here into the tray. And then I like to kind of spread and smooth it out. It's kind of just like making a pizza, I guess. Smooth that out. And then what I like to do is take one of my other trays, and I'm just going to put this inside and press it down a little bit so that it helps to kind of smooth things out and get a pretty even surface. It's not perfect, but it works out pretty well. So that is filling our tray. I'm not going to take you guys through doing all 3 trays, but I will show you one of these. So what we want to do is we want to use about 2 tablespoons of seeds, right around there. I've seen instructions out there, especially with radish seeds, that say 3 tablespoons for a 10 by 10 tray, and I've always felt like that's too many, that it crams them in too much. You have a higher risk when they're crammed in that tight of having mold in your tray, and we don't want that. So I've found that between 1.5 and 2 tablespoons of seed is going to be enough. So this one we're planting the Rambo, and is what I did while we were off camera. I went through and put a label on each of these so that I don't mess it up, so that when we do the taste test, we'll actually know which one. I love these seed packages from True Leaf Market because they come with a zipper so you can seal them back up, and the seeds stay nice and fresh. So we're going to just go ahead and we'll do 1 tablespoon here. I like to kind of just sprinkle them out as evenly as possible. We can go back and kind of do them a little bit more if we need to. So that's 1 tablespoon. And then here comes tablespoon number 2. Be a little bit more strategic about this one. All right, then we can kind of just go back and spread these around. Looks like I've got a couple of spots here in the corners that didn't get seed. It's my fault. We'll fill those in just a little bit, maybe just a little bit more. So, we might be 2.5 tablespoons here. So there you go. That's, for me, home growing. I'm not a professional, guys, at this. For us, that's good. That's going to give us a good balance. So that's, just what we want to have there. Now, the next thing we want to do is mist these down. Now, the soil is already wet because we just hydrated it, so we don't need to worry about that, but we do want to get these seeds plenty moist. And so I just have a little spray bottle here. Most of your kits that you buy for microgreens are going to come with a spray bottle. Just going to moisten that down so that those seeds are nice and moist. That's planting. Now, is what we're going to do is we're going to take these guys inside where it's a little bit warmer, and we'll put them on the shelf where the lights are, but we're not going to turn the lights on yet because we actually want them to go through what we call the blackout period. So the first thing we're going to do for that blackout period is we want to get a little bit of weight. Radish seeds don't need a lot of weight. Some microgreens need you'll see people putting bricks and things like that. I found that radishes don't really need much weight, so just the tray, the weight of another tray is going to be enough. So we're just going to put this on top, press it down so that we get good contact with those seeds, and then what we will do is for the next 2 to 3 days until we get germination, we are just going to take our spray bottle and we'll take the lid off, and about every 12 hours we're going to spray and mist those seeds again. That's all we need to do at the beginning. We don't need to worry about bottom watering. Now, if you do happen to see that your soil is starting to dry out a little bit, then maybe you'll want to put a little water in the tray and let it soak into the soil. But for the most part, I found that just misting twice a day for the first 2 or 3 days until we get germination is going to be enough. Once we have germination, we'll come back. I'll show you what we're going to do in the next step. All right, guys, welcome back. So this is day 3. So we're 3 days in. started these on a Friday. We're Monday, so kind of right there in the middle of the 3-day time frame. So let's look and see what we're looking like. And I've already peeked, so I know that we're getting some good germination here. This tray, let's see what the variety is here. This is the Triton. I'm a little bit disappointed with the germination on this one. But we seem with the other two, China Rose here, and then this one back here is the, let's see, what is this one? The Rambo. We've got good germination on them. Enough germination in all 3 trays, and they're actually lifting the tops a little bit. So I'm ready to go ahead and turn these over and continue what we call blackouts. So I'm just basically going to turn these over like this, and we will continue to let these guys grow. They'll go back on the shelf, and we'll probably be about a day and a half to 2 days under these conditions. And that is what this does, is it takes the weight off, and so that then allows those plants to start growing and stretching, which is what we want with microgreens. So this blackout mode will give them a good couple of days that will get them standing up straight, and then we'll introduce them to the light. They'll green up and be ready in about another 5 days from that. So coming along, looking really good. So I'll check back with you again here in maybe 2 days so that you can see what they look like before we put them under the lights. All right, guys, it is day 5, and it is time to get these guys out of blackout. So you can see they have stretched up nicely, and now as soon as we put them under the lights, you're going to be amazed. I'll come back in like 2 days, and you're going to be amazed at what these guys look like. So they all are looking pretty good. I'm not really happy with the germination on this one. This is, I believe, this is the Triton. Did not germinate quite as well as the others. This one, though, looks good, too. This is the China Rose. So now we just expose them to the light for a few days, and they'll be ready to eat. So I would imagine, based on how they're looking, that we'll be ready in 4 or 5 days for these to eat. So I'll come back and show you a couple more views before we kind of wrap things up. All right, here we are on day 7.5, almost day 8 is where we're at on these, and look how nice they're looking. So we've had them under the lights for a couple of days now, and they have perked up and are looking really good. This one is the, let's see, which variety is this? This is Rambo. So these are the Rambos, and all the other ones, I didn't bring them down just because they all look about the same. But you can see we're starting to fill in. One of the nice things about radishes is they're ready about this point. So we could start eating them today or tomorrow, day 8. I like them to fill in just a little bit more, so they'll fill out a little bit more. These leaves will get just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to give it like 2 more days. This is Friday. Probably I'll come back on Monday morning and show you kind of the final, and we'll do a little harvest then. So they just seem to fill in a little bit more if we go to about day 10. So there we are, day 8, looking really nice. And the other trays are looking the same way. So we'll come back in just a couple more days. We'll do a taste test for you and talk a little bit more about True Leaf Market, and we'll be done with this video. All right, welcome back. This is day 11. So I got busy, wasn't able to get out here and do it on day 10. So we are day 11, and you can see, maybe from the second camera, you can really see that things are looking great. So we are ready for harvest, and things are doing really well. So kind of initial observations, because remember, we're taste testing 3. This one is Triton, this one is China Rose, this one is Rambo, okay? And the Rambo, which is the variety that we have grown in the past, actually has more volume, okay? And I did the exact same amounts in each tray. I will say that it appears like if we're just talking about volume, that Rambo seems to have done the best. It's a little bit taller, a little bit fuller. Overall, I think that there's more to it in 11 days, okay? Now, these may catch up in a couple more days. We'll kind of see. Other observations maybe that I would make, Triton was actually the slowest to germinate and to really progress. And it's a little bit hard for you to tell here, but the Triton is the smallest of the trays. So that, it's not significant, but I guess if you were growing commercially, it may be, okay? So one of the beautiful things about radish microgreens is you can start harvesting on about day 10 or day 11, but they'll just sit in the tray for another week or so. So we're usually like day 16, day 17 before we're finishing up. And so you can just leave them here. You don't have to harvest the whole tray. Obviously you can. You can harvest the entire tray if you want. But we like to just leave it on the counter. We've got a grow light under one of our cabinets in our kitchen. So we'll just put these guys under that light so that we remember that they're there. And we'll just harvest as we need it throughout the next week or so. Normally, we wouldn't do 3 trays because that's a little bit too much for the 2 of us to handle over a week's time. So we'll have to be pretty aggressive with these. Normally, we would just do 2 trays. We'll do like a radish and a buckwheat and a radish and a broccoli or a sunflower, you know, something like that. We'll usually have just 2 trays. And with the radishes, that's really nice because we can just harvest what we need and then leave the rest, and we have about a week to finish them up, okay? All right, so let's do a little bit of a taste test here. So we'll start with the Rambo. I'm gonna harvest each one of these, and then we'll kind of move them over here. So to harvest, I just kind of hold the top and then just trim. I've seen people that have that'll do it with a sharp knife. That's great too. So this is our China Rose here. And I'm just using some kitchen shears to do this with. And then the Triton. All right. Now let's move the trays out of the way so that you guys can see the finished product here on this camera. All right, so let's start with the Rambo since that's the one that I am familiar with. So yeah, that's a good one. Wow, that's a little spicier batch than what I'm used to. Usually not quite that spicy. Real solid radish, spicy flavor. So I brought a little water to cleanse my palate in between so that I'm not getting all right, so that's Rambo. The one that we're used to the most. This one is the China Rose. So this one is even more intense. Very intense radish flavor. It's really good too. That's a good one, boy. I think I might like, okay, I gotta try the Triton first. All right, so let's try the Triton here. So the Triton is milder. There it comes. Yeah, it's still overall, I think the Triton is a little bit milder. So I'm going to say I like the China Rose the best of these 3. Rambo, we've grown for years, but I've never tried the China Rose. I do think I like the China Rose. It's got a really nice, intense radish flavor to it. Triton is a little bit milder, so if you want a little bit milder one, go with that. But again, Rambo is also very solid. So any of these 3 varieties would be great for you to grow. And I think that you would really like them. So, but I think China Rose. And that was actually, so my contact at True Leaf Market, I asked her what her favorite was, and she said it was the China Rose. I think I have to agree with her. That's a pretty good one. So, sorry, I'm trying to not have food in my teeth while we're finishing up here. Okay, so there you go. That is the process. You are about 10 to 11 days total to grow radish microgreens, and watering about every 36 hours. You're going to put them in, blackout for the first 4 to 5 days, and then put them under lights after that 4th or 5th day, and you're going to have beautiful batches like these. So again, a lot of fun. Microgreens are a blast, and radishes are one of the low thinking ones to grow. They're not super complicated to grow. Radish microgreens are, so they're a good one for you to try out. So a big thank you again to True Leaf Market who sponsored this video. They are the place to go if you want microgreen supplies. They have over 300 different varieties of microgreens that you can be growing. Just tons of different things that you can do. The 3 radish varieties is a great example of that. So if you are doing this as a hobby like I am, just growing for your family, they are a great place to go. They have great kits that you can start with. If you're doing this commercially as a commercial grower, wow, they have everything that you need to be successful. You can buy seeds in bulk, and you know, just a great place to buy. And we love True Leaf Market. They're local to us here in Salt Lake City. I have been using True Leaf Market's seeds almost my entire gardening career. You know, from very early on, we started buying seeds from True Leaf Market. Mountain Valley Seeds is their main kind of vegetable seed company. We love them. So thank you again to them. I've included links to the Rambos and the China Rose and the Triton, some kits that you can start. All of those links are down below over to the True Leaf Market website. So check those out. And again, thank you, big thank you to True Leaf for sponsoring this video. Let me know what you thought about this longer format. And if you liked it, we can do some others. We could try some different varieties and you know, different types of microgreens. So let me know if you enjoyed that. And if you have any questions, please let me know down in the description as well. If you guys would really like to learn more about growing sprouts and microgreens, I actually have a course that we sell. We're selling it half off right now, so there's a link in the description that you can click on for this. It's a really big course. It's about a 4-hour-long course that covers sprouts and microgreen growing for home. Okay, so it's designed for growing for your home and for your family. And there's a link for that down in the description as well. Okay, thanks again to True Leaf for sponsoring this video, and we will talk to you guys next week. Happy gardening.